Guys, don't forget to buy David White's book. It's £20 for a personalised signed copy and free delivery. All the details are down below.
Do you think at that time when obviously this happened and it's just you said there that you don't think your dad understood you, do you think that changed you emotionally?
Absolutely. I became
personality and behaviour was different towards him, or was it?
Well, I think I just lost. I lost my fight, to be honest with you. The day after the original abuse, I was playing temping bowling. We'd gone playing temping bowling, and Bennell was a horrible loser, and I just wanted to win. And we had this bizarre game of temping bowling where we both tried to lose, because he was trying to lose to pacify me, and I was trying to lose. I didn't want to anger him.
Yeah.
And it just became a lot more difficult. I lost my burning desire that day, and that day after is a bizarrely it's more of a memory for me. That day after, when I just lost my, so suddenly I just didn't have this firepower that I'd already had as a kid. So people say to me now, they'll read the book and people forever say, every day people say, you must be so strong, and yet I felt, and still to a lesser degree, throughout my career, felt so weak. I can't tell you, because other things happened when in my early career, I was probably 21, something like that. I walked past the guy in the training ground and he had 2 young kids with him. Yeah. And what I should have done was probably knocked him out. What I should have done was gone to security. What I should have done, because I knew what was probably going on. Yeah. But it was easier for me to say, well, no, it probably isn't happening, and easier for me to say, because if I'd have done any of those things, I'm then exposing my dad to the truth.
Of course.
And so that moment is a horrible. I'll never ever forgive myself for that. And then later on in my career, when I was 27, I was at Leeds. The guy had been arrested for rape in the States, and had written, not just to my dad, to a lot of parents who he'd abused, that I've since found out, of kids who he'd abused, asking for money. And I had a conversation with my dad as a 27-year-old guy with 2 young kids that ended up in me agreeing that my dad would send him 200 quid. And these are the moments where you just how weak am I? And then this just runs through my career where and manifests itself into just unbelievable inconsistencies. So I can watch myself play at Villa Park in '91 and think, you will be. Yeah. And I was. And that day, I'm hoping nobody minds me saying I was, because I could be. But far too often, my confidence was so low, and my ability to be strong enough to get myself out of that was so low, because I felt so weak, that it resulted in these inconsistencies that nobody ever understood, most being my dad. And you speak to any City fan, they'll say, yeah, great on his day, but it could be crap. And I was 9 out of 10 or 5, and that became so frustrating.
Yeah.
And so you don't, I hear stories of lads who've been abused, and I speak to people regularly now. This is what we do now, and they've had horrendous times, and they've been suicidal, and we know some people have made the ultimate decision to end their own life.
Yeah.
On the back of things. So I've been fortunate that I've never been anywhere near that, and but I think the book tells the story of a different and more subtle effects that
over time,
that sexual abuse can have on people, and it's devastating in some ways, because again, people say you must be so strong. This happened to you, and you still played 400 games, you still scored 125, but you just played it with your bum. And my answer would be, I didn't want to play 1 game for England. I wanted to play 100 games for England. I didn't want to score 96 goals for City. I wanted to score. I wanted to be the person that he broke David White's record.
Yeah.
And I could have been.
Was that a regret that you got to 96
Oh,
and then
terrible
went
regret,
to
yeah.
Leeds?
Yeah, I mean, I left City. It's a totally different story. I left City on the back of the club being in a horrendous position. To be honest. It was a real sort of toxic atmosphere at the time. But I really struggle now to think that on 96 goals I left the football club I love. You know, to have 100 and something in brackets behind my name as a Man City player would mean the absolute world to me, and I think puts you in a different bracket. So to finish 4 short of that and decide now's the time to go, I find it incredible that I made that decision. But I did.
I think certainly City fans still think you're incredible getting the 96 goals. So I mean, but I understand from where you're coming from. So when it came to the book and writing the book, Shades of Blue, was it cathartic? Has it helped you in any way?
Yeah, I think it definitely did. It obviously brought back. I think it. A lot of it was I need to explain myself there. I'd write something down. You better explain that. And I've tried to make it as honest as I can. There's things that have happened that aren't in there.
Yeah.
But what I talk about is as honest as it can be. And it was helpful, but it was helpful in many ways. That reconnecting with the club as well, because when you leave a club and the club obviously went through some incredible. The club went where I thought it was going to go, in all honesty. So I did spend a lot of time saying to myself or to other people, I told you so. And then the club reinvented itself and became this wonderful, wonderful thing, and so reconnecting with the club, and so what I enjoyed as much as anything doing this was looking back at we've got this wonderful thing YouTube now where you can go and find the games So I'd spend, I might sit down to write a chapter or something about one particular thing, and I'd end up spending 3 or 4 hours on YouTube just watching all games. So that was brilliant in terms of reconnecting with the club and maybe regenerating my love for the club. But also just being able to get it all out there. I went through 18 years of never speaking to anybody. It's a massive regret now. It's a massive regret knowing that I could do that without telling my dad. But I had my whole career without disclosure. So the disclosure came, basically the telephone call you talk about, that ended up with me lying to the police. But I told the truth and disclosed to my wife and to my brother, and then over a period of time to several other people that I could trust, and that was massively helpful. But everybody only understands that you can never ever tell my dad this. And so I know, absolutely 100% know that had the abuse not happened, I would have been a miles better footballer. I guarantee that. And had the abuse happened and I'd been able to disclose, and particularly if I'd been able to disclose with my dad and get over that initial keep him away from the guy, if you like. Let's deal with this. My career would have been miles.
So it not only affected your life personally, but professionally as well.
Absolutely, 100%. But it's right in the book that brings all these things back to you and brings all these things home to you. So it was, in that respect, it was very helpful. People say, would you have done something differently with your dad? No. I know I'm wrong in saying that, but I know my dad, and I just don't think he'd have handled it well at all. So you end up later on in life thinking just the knowledge now of the guilt would kill it. You just go through this range of reasons why you're not disclosing, and they change over your life. But I don't need to think about that anymore.
No, that's good. Your book, obviously the book's out now. You're working in with some organisations now to not just promote the books, but also in the background of like safeguarding children and things like that. Mm-hmm. Can you just tell us a little bit?
Yeah, we've got we are very early on in this sort of process. After November 16, got very close with Paul Stewart, great reconnecting with him, and a guy called Ian Ackley, who was the original whistleblower, public whistleblower if you like, back in the late 90s, who wasn't listened to, and Derek Bell. We formed SAVE, which is Safeguarding and Victim Engagement, and basically we engage with survivors of any type of abuse suffered in any setting. The connection is football fans. It tends to be football fans who contact us, but they may be women who've been abused within the home. There may be men who are window cleaners who were abused within a church setting. It might be physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, neglect, and so we very early quickly realised that we had to cover all those boundaries, if you like, and we do. We've had to go through some very sort of intense training in terms of being able to take these first calls, if you like. We don't therapeutic, we're not counsellors, but sometimes the only people that these survivors will talk to are us. So we can't say we're not.
Of course.
So that's been great. It's been brilliant to be able to do that. It's been hard work. We also realise the value of survivor delivered safeguarding training and messages, because it really does hit home. So I've been doing some within gymnastics, funnily enough, and got some brilliant feedback. That's not a pat on the back for me. That's just saying how important it is, because people will stand up and listen, and suddenly safeguarding and the safeguarding message becomes much more important. And we'll engage. We're working with governing bodies, so we're just about to embark on some work with the Premier League. We're doing some work with some EFL clubs, as I said, gymnastics, other sports, and we're working with the likes of Sport England and the CPSU. So I think there's some great practices out there, but we need to get them particularly to grassroots, and people have got to understand it. The importance of it's fairly straightforward, but pretty onerous. The work that needs to be done and should be done. So SAVE is doing that. As I say, we've all been trained to a fairly high level now in safeguarding. We're just about to embark on getting the next set of survivors to embark on the same training, so they can become part of the solution in safeguarding. So that's what we're all about, and then we're happy to come along to anybody who takes safeguarding seriously as we do, to help them maybe with a safeguarding audit, put procedures and systems in place, and make sure that those procedures and systems are communicated to every stakeholder within the organisation. And if we can do all of those things and engage with as many people as we can, then we'll be able to make a positive difference.
Obviously, just to close, if there was somebody who was watching this who had been through some sort of turmoil in their life around this particular area, and they don't feel that a lot of time they can speak to anybody within the family, and is there a website that they can contact potentially you guys?
Well,
what advice would you give to somebody who's watching this and thinking?
Well, quite often people will literally contact me directly on tends to be on social media, if I'm being totally honest. It tends to be on a Friday, Saturday evening, when people have had a glass of wine and they feel they're feeling a little down. That's fine. So my Twitter is David_White7. Facebook might be a bit more difficult because I think I've hit my total number off. So that and then you've so the website is www.saveassociation.com. My email address is david@saveassociation.com. We've also got support@saveassociation.com. People can contact us. So we may be just be the first part of contact. It may be that we need to refer on, and but we'll if you need to touch base with somebody to ask advice, or just have literally, quite often it will be, from my point of view, and I know Paul's the same and Ian and Derek the same, it might be just a few swapping of your messages over Twitter, and that might be enough, and that might, we'll put you in touch with other organisations. It's quite often it'll be something else is manifested, so it might be a money problem. We've just today, whilst we're doing it, I think you heard me on the phone where a survivor has got a financial problem now that's causing him to be much more anxious.
Yeah.
So we've advised on that, and we're going to help that person out. And so sometimes it literally is a problem within your life that has become far too big for you, but other people can sort out quite easily.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's what we're doing. But what's great is when those people who are making those calls to us become one of us down the line, if you like.
Yeah.
So
obviously you're almost then become like in a mentor.
Well, yeah. So it's so we've, because some of us, that's where they were. I'm sure one or two of my colleagues won't mind saying they've been in those positions, and now they are the guys that are offering help. One lady in particular who came on all our training that we've done. She was in a sort of very, very difficult position and could hardly even introduce herself when we first did the training, and now she's done all the training with us. She's passed it with flying colours, and is now able to go out and deliver safeguarding training herself. So making that person, that's about part of the solution moving forward, so she can benefit others, and that's a massive part of her recovery. That's what we're trying to achieve, and when we do that, then we're sort of hitting the right buttons.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, I want to say a massive thank you to David White. I know he's a really busy guy, and he's took out a couple of days to speak to us at mcfcfantv.